And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich, his biography, and best hits. Born Bernard Rich in Brooklyn on September 30th, 1917, Buddy was a child prodigy who could drum before he could walk. By age 4, he was performing professionally, and by his teens, he was touring with the biggest swing bands of the era. He played with legends like Tommy Dorsey, Benny Carter, and Artie Shaw. Buddy's secret, unbelievable technique, lightning-fast single-stroke rolls, perfect timing, and fills that could stop a band in its tracks. He didn't just keep rhythm, he controlled it, turning every performance into a spectacle. Offstage, he was infamous for his fiery temper, demanding perfection from every musician that he worked with. From the swing era to his late career big band revivals, Buddy Rich remained a force of nature, influencing every drummer who followed. He passed in 1987, but his legacy lives on in recordings that still leave listeners breathless. And that was some insight into the biography of Buddy Rich. More details coming up. Also coming up, some trendy music news. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich, his life and times and best hits. During this hour, we're going to be talking about his biography. So Buddy Rich is a band leader, innovator, showman, notorious perfectionist, and probably the most technically brilliant drummer the world has ever seen. So let's take it from the top. Buddy was born Bernard Rich on September 30th, 1917 in Brooklyn, New York, into a vaudeville family where rhythm wasn't taught, it was inherited. By 18 months old, he could play the drums, and by age 4, he was performing professionally. By his early teens, he was earning more money on tour than most adults in the industry. And in classic Buddy style, he never learned to read music. Everything he played came from his ears, his instincts, and that internal engine nobody else could replicate. By the 1930s and 40s, jazz was expanding, and Buddy became the drummer every major band leader wanted. He played with Artie Shaw, Tommy Dorsey, Benny Carter, and Leigh Brown, all giants of the swing era. When he joined the Tommy Dorsey band, his playing became the heartbeat of the entire orchestra. It's also where he developed that signature precision and speed, the single-stroke rolls, the flawless cymbal control. Drummers today still study those recordings like gospel. Then came World War II. Buddy served with the United States Marine Corps, and even the military couldn't ignore his talent. He ended up playing in the USMC band. After the war, he returned to New York and continued his climb to the top of the jazz world, this time as a leader. His big band years, especially the 50s, 60s, and 70s, cemented his place in history. These weren't ordinary big bands, these were precision machines. The band played harder, faster, and more cleaner than any ensemble before or since. Now, you can't talk about Buddy Rich without mentioning his personality. He was outspoken, brutally honest, and sometimes borderline terrifying. The famous bus tapes, recorded secretly by his bandmate, captured him raging, lecturing, swearing, and demanding excellence. Buddy didn't just play the drums, he performed the drums. Every show was a spectacle. Stick tricks, lightning-fast solos that defied logic. He could play softer than a whisper and louder than a train. And whether he was in a concert hall, on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, his audience was always left stunned. One of the most unique things about Buddy Rich is that he was admired across genres. Rock drummers like John Bonham, Neil Peart, and Phil Collins called him a hero. Even classical percussionists studied his recordings for benchmark technique. He kept performing right up until the end. Even after suffering a major heart attack, he was still on tours, still pushing tempos, still tearing through solos. Buddy Rich passed away in 1987, but his influence didn't fade. Today, every drummer studies Buddy Rich. His phrasing, his technique, his leadership style, his sense of time, it's a blueprint. And that's the story of Buddy Rich, the prodigy, the powerhouse, the perfectionist, the drummer who rewrote the rules of rhythm for all time. And that was some insight into Buddy Rich's biography, and this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich's biography and best hits. Now it's time for some trendy music news. So sliding into your speakers this festive week is the track that owns the season, the one topping the jazz charts again, because Christmas simply doesn't feel like Christmas without it. Nat King Cole's iconic take on the Christmas song. This record isn't just trending, it's glowing. And why? Because Nat's velvet baritone still defines the sound of Highly Comfort. No one phrases a ballad more smoothly. Every syllable is wrapped in warmth. Every note lands like a soft snowfall. The arrangement is pure lush orchestral magic. Strings, woodwinds, gentle brass, all floating over those classic jazz tunes. It's sophisticated enough for the purists, but warm enough for anyone wrapping gifts by the tree. So what makes it chart-topping right now is simple. It's Christmas season and the listeners want nostalgia of its soul. Nat gives you that fireside glow, that analog warmth, that hoity serenity in under 4 minutes. And that was some trendy music news on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of Buddy Rich's best albums of all time. Stay tuned. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich, his biography and best hits. During this hour, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums of all time. Here's a quick recap of what's coming up. We are going to be talking about 4 essential albums that shaped his legend. The first one's called Big Swing Face, released in 1967. This is the one everybody cites. Critics, drummers, band leaders, they all bow to it. The band is razor tight, the shout choruses hit like lightning, and Buddy's time fill, he bends it, shapes it, owns it. To see how he got there, rewind to swinging new band release in 1966. This is the rebirth, young players, hungry players, a new rich sound, punchy brass, clean charts, and Buddy carving out a modern identity. Then it's Mercy Mercy released in 1968 live at Caesar's Palace. Electric energy, soulful groove, and Buddy working the room like a showman and a machine combined. And wrapping up this set, the new one released in 1967. Sleek, structured, precision-driven. Buddy at his cleanest, sharpest, and absolutely undeniable. And that was some insight into what's coming up during this hour, and you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. Stay tuned. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich, his biography and best hits. During this hour, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums of all time. Now, Buddy wasn't just fast or powerful or technically outrageous. He was a leader who could command an entire 16-piece band with nothing but the snap of a hi-hat or the flick of an eyebrow. And the albums that we are featuring show exactly how his sound evolved from sharp 60s modern swing to the full throttle fire that he became famous for. So let's take this journey in 4 chapters. First up, Big Swing Face, released in 1967. If there's ever been one Buddy Rich album that gets mentioned in every top 10 jazz records list, this is the one. Critics love it, drummers worship it, and band leaders still study it like scripture. This was Rich's big band swing sound sounding modern. Crisp, tight, aggressive, but clean enough that every shout chorus hits like a lightning bolt. Tracks like Mexicali Noise and the title track Big Swing Face show that Buddy didn't just keep time, he shaped the time. He played around the beat, inside it, ahead of it, behind it, and never lost the band. What makes this album special is the balance between accessibility and complexity. You can play this record for someone who's never heard big band jazz before and they'll feel that rush. Now, to understand how Buddy got to that level in 1967, you have to rewind a little. The next album is called Swinging New Band, released in 1966, the Rebirth record. At this point, Buddy was forming what would become his modern era band. He wanted young players, hungry players, musicians with open ears and the stamina to handle his ridiculous tempos and sudden break cues. This album is a sound of transition, Buddy leaving behind the early big band era and stepping into something sharper and more contemporary. The arrangements have fewer unnecessary flourishes and a lot more punch. Everything is tight, brass forward, and designed to make space for Buddy's drums to blaze through without overpowering the band. It's a real pay attention, something new is happening here moment in his discography. And speaking of something new, let's move to Mercy Mercy, released in 1968, recorded live at Caesar's Palace. This is Buddy Rich in full live mode, and everything about this record is electric. The crowd energy, the room sound, the band's intensity all push Buddy into his most charismatic space. The famous track here is their version of Mercy Mercy Mercy. It's funky, it's soulful, and shows that Buddy could groove as hard as he could swing. You also get a sense of how he led the band on stage, through sheer will, subtle cues, and the kind of energy that makes horn players sweat. The solos on this album have that unmistakable Vegas sparkle. It's Buddy at the peak of his powers, working a room like a master entertainer and a master musician at the same time. The next one's called the new one from 1967. This one doesn't get the same spotlight as Big Swing Face, but this is one of the cleanest studio documents of Richard's precision. The charts are beautifully structured. You get a more symphonic feel to the brass, and Buddy pulls back just enough to let the compositions breathe. But when he steps forward, it's textbook Buddy Rich brilliance, faster backbeats, blazing right cymbal work. So this album is perfect for radio because it has a little bit of everything: groove, ballad integrity, and plenty of full band fireworks. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, it's about Buddy Rich, his biography and best hits. Now it's time for some trending music news. On January 1st, SBS and SBS On Demand are premiering a brand new concert special, Greg Arthur live at City Resident Hall. This show has already earned a 5-star review from Eric Myers of The Weekend Australian. So Greg Arthur has been doing it for over 3 decades. Smooth tone, elegance, phrasing that feels effortless. So this special features the musicians who've shaped Greg's entire artistic life. So mark your calendars, January 1st, SBS On Demand. Greg Arthur live at City Resident Hall. And there was some trending music news on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break, we'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about more of Buddy Rich's best albums of all time. Stay tuned.